Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my presentation. My name is Lindsey Venger. I'm a resource teacher at Birmingham Community Charter High School, and the topic of my presentation today is the historical significance of literary works from the modern period, from 1901 to 1945 approximately. The reason why this topic is useful for you is because understanding the historical influence on authors at the time can create a deeper appreciation of the various texts. We're going to talk about three things. They are the literary period itself, often referred to again as the modern period. We're going to look at authors from the time and major literary works. Secondly, we're going to review the historical events at the time that impacted the authors of the period. And finally, we're going to look at a hero in the literature, specifically from the novel The Great Gatsby, authored by F. Scott Fitzgerald in the year 1925. Due to the fact that I have only 3 to 5 minutes, I request that you ask your questions at the end of my presentation. So first I'm going to summarize the literary period. During this modern period in American literary time, writers began to question their relationships within society as a whole and the overarching institutions, so religious institutions, government, industry. Instead of simply allowing the ruling class to dictate these relationships, they began to question themselves. And it's through this introspection that many writers began to share their opinions on these social or institutional issues. One example is from Ernest Hemingway, in Farewell to Arms, who had characters that were openly cynical, soldiers. They were displaced due to the impact of war. Also, there's an example seen in Ulysses, which chronicles the passage of Leopold Bloom, and there was a lot of controversy at the time based on his writing techniques being this stream of consciousness. There's also F. Scott Fitzgerald from The Great Gatsby, and Fitzgerald was able to embody many of the period's themes in his characters. Some of these themes can include the lonely individual, finding peace and comfort in a world that has lost its values and traditions, a belief that there's situational ethics with absolute values and decisions that are based on a situation one is involved in, and also that a man is nothing except what he makes of himself. The second point we're going to look at is the historical period. During this period, there were many impactful events that were happening. World wars, depression, the Industrial Revolution. Many felt a general spirit of pessimism. Families had been displaced, work was hard to find, machines were replacing workers, on and on and on. Then there was the passage of the 19th Amendment, which outlawed the sale of alcohol, and an underground market arose. This was very profitable for some, but it was also very dangerous. So it brought food to the table, but it also brought a lot of trouble as well. Then there was also the stock market that made a lot of gains, and all of a sudden the middle class was able to go up as opposed to just stay the same or go down. So the American dream was alive and well once again. Lastly, we are going to talk about a hero, and that is an unlikely hero, but from the novel The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. And he's unlikely because he is Jay Gatsby. And Jay Gatsby, we all know, is very tragic. However, he did hold some of these attributes of what we consider to be heroic. So he's very childlike in his boasting and rivalries and his love for presents and rewards, and he is very concerned about his reputation. And one of these is seen in the example from the following quote. Quote, this is from Gatsby. The truth was, and this is not Gatsby speaking, this is Nick speaking. The truth was that Jay Gatsby of West Egg, Long Island, sprang from the Platonic conception of himself. He was the son of God, a phrase which, if it means anything, must just that, and he must be about his father's business, the service of a vast, vulgar, and meticulous beauty. So he invented just the sort of Jay Gatsby a 17-year-old boy would likely invent, and to this conception he was faithful to the end. So he was very obviously concerned with his reputation. He invented it. Gatsby also accepts challenges and sometimes even courts disaster. And during one scene, when he is confronting Tom Buchanan about his love for Daisy, and he knows that he is that this is obviously going to cause great arguments and maybe even a fight, but he doesn't care because he's just going to, he wants to make sure that everybody knows that he loves Daisy, and it's the most important thing in his world. So he says, "Your wife doesn't love you," said Gatsby. "She never loved you. She loves me." "She never loved you, do you hear?" he cried. "She only married you because I was poor and she was tired of waiting for me. It was a terrible mistake, but in her heart she never loved anyone except me." In conclusion, this presentation, I hope my objective was to hopefully review some of these historical events of the time period and deeper your appreciation of those events and how they have impacted the literature. Thank you.